Still a sore subject. We're not allowed to bring it up at Christmas.
I'm fucking real, bro. You ain't shit.
I mean, if I can't say something that just cut cold or make someone laugh, I don't even type it.
You fucking punk-ass bitch!
Jesus Christ, that hurt. I'm still got a headache over that.
I'm the greatest man talking on the fucking face of the earth right now. You should be thanking me that I'm talking about Tennessee.
You guys can't coach, to be honest with you. He's just a high school coach.
Fuck me.
What is it about Winston? Where's Winston? With the pie, not feeling good.
Yeah, go ahead, Unabomber. What the fuck are you saying about the SEC, bro?
Don't be ridiculous right now, okay?
No, USC is far better than Oklahoma historically.
Can we get a timeout just for half a second?
Because I want motherfuckers like you every goddamn day!
I just can't believe y'all put a statue of this guy already at your campus.
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
You fucking punk-ass bitch!
Then it makes me look like I got owned or something.
Smacking off.
And welcome to Smacking Off, the podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with my producer and co-host, Mr. Doug Phillips. Doug, how are you this evening?
Great.
I'm doing great. Because guess what? We're going to the playoffs, bitch. Oh, wait a minute. We already did the playoffs. We're going to the national championship, bitch.
Yeah, people are really upset.
People are upset. Oh, man. I can't believe that the SEC, with two undeserving teams that both got beat by Auburn in their home field, and we have this great UCF team that's completely undefeated. Completely undefeated.
Yep. Beat Memphis twice.
Beat Memphis twice, man.
Twice. Beat USF in a 51-48
and
game.
Just an absolute beatdown if you're an Oklahoma fan.
I don't remember what the score was.
That's what Oklahoma fans call beatdown.
51-48.
Yeah, when you beat a team, a very team in a high scoring game by 3 points, or 5 points, or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah. There, believe it or not, is a lot of chatter about UCF pretty much declaring themselves the national champion.
Yeah.
That the Peach Bowl this year, I guess, was the national championship.
So I guess what is it? Are they going to have the Orlando Times national championship, or are they just going to use the school newspaper to declare it?
I don't know. They might get it a couple other newspapers that hate Alabama and Georgia, or the SEC for that matter, on board. I'm sure somebody will,
out in Pat Country, maybe.
Maybe up in Tennessee.
the LA Times may declare them champs.
Knoxville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sad story.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm proud of, I guess, what they've done for themselves. They certainly had an absolute horrendous season.
They had a great season.
This season, they had a great season for the schedule that they had. The schedule they had was, I believe, ranked in the 70s, maybe possibly the 8. No, I think it was in the 70s nationally out of 128, 138 FBS teams.
Yep.
Yeah, so
they beat a couple Power 5 teams. They beat Maryland. Maryland beat Texas, man.
Anyway, Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see who else. They beat somebody else. Goddamn it.
They did. We'll have to look it up here in a minute because really, I think Austin Peay. No, Austin. That's different. That's something else.
No, we're talking.
They did beat Austin Peay.
Power 5.
Yeah, it's a sad story any way you want to look at it. And look, I get it. They had a really, really horrendous season last season. I believe they were winless or like won one game last year.
I think that was the year before.
Yeah, but I mean, again, they were completely just in the toilet. One of the worst teams in
George O'Leary's last season. They were 0-4. Something.
Yeah, and Scott Frost turned it around. Now is headed off to Nebraska to turn that program around, hopefully. Which, because it's not doing so hot right now.
They beat Maryland.
They did beat Maryland.
That is...
We discussed that.
The only Power 5 team that they beat. They would have had a shot at beating Georgia Tech. That game was canceled because of the hurricane.
Oh, wow.
Don't know if they would have beat Georgia Tech or not. Georgia Tech just about beat Miami down at Hard Rock Stadium or whatever they're calling their stadium these days.
Yeah. And again, that's all fine and dandy, but
they beat Maryland at Maryland 38-10.
That's kind of why we have this system set up in play. And look, okay, I get it. Everybody's really upset with Alabama because they're in the playoffs year in and year out, and they don't win their conference, and they don't schedule tough enough for some people. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's kind of why we have this committee set up in place
To prevent the SEC from dominating this thing?
Yeah, that's absolutely
And they
right.
Still couldn't prevent it.
Still couldn't prevent it. We've got 2 SEC teams in there. So, and, you know, the last time we had 2 SEC teams, which was Alabama and LSU, there was a big fuss made. That's when the computers were doing all the picking for everybody. We got to do away with them computers. And computers ain't getting it right, so on and so forth. And, okay, so we got rid of the computers, and here we are.
Now, you're going to get the UCF people are going to scream, well, yeah, but we beat Auburn as well, and they're a Power 5 team. This is true.
They did.
But they didn't do it before the committee placed the teams in the top 4.
Yeah.
You know,
again, they could have easily attempted to schedule Auburn, like, you know, some other non-Power 5 conference teams are able to do. UCF is conveniently located, you know.
They did beat Austin Peay. You were right.
Yeah. I remember that game. That was a huge, massive game, massive win for them.
73-33.
Yeah.
You know, they beat some, what do you call them? G5 teams that have decent reputations. Oh, let's see here. Navy was a good team.
Yeah, Navy was a good team this year.
So they beat Navy 31-21. Navy almost beat Notre Dame. So that's not a bad win. Somebody might say, well, they beat as many good teams as Alabama did. Well, no.
Yeah, but let's talk about the quality of quote unquote good teams.
Right.
You know, is Maryland in the same conversation as LSU?
Did Maryland get to a bowl? I don't think they did. Let me look. Somebody told me they beat more bowl teams than Alabama did. Maryland went 4-8 this year.
Yeah, that doesn't sound bowl worthy to me. Of course, then again, there's like 84 bowls.
They didn't get a bowl though.
Yeah,
maybe they did beat more bowl teams than Alabama, but we're talking about, you know, how many bowls there are. So I'm sure,
and we have laughed for weeks about, you know, some of these ridiculous bowl matchups early in December.
Memphis got into a bowl.
Yeah, Memphis won their bowl.
FIU did play in a bowl. They played in the
Tropic Thunder Bowl.
The Gasparilla Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That was the one we were like, what the hell is that?
They beat Temple, which were a train wreck this year.
Yeah.
Don't know how they got a bowl. Well, because there's too many fucking bowls.
Yeah, way too many bowls.
Let's see. We're talking about Memphis. What did Memphis do? Memphis beat Iowa State.
Oh, that's right.
They were were they the October champions? Or is that when they went on their little spill and beat
actually, no, they didn't beat Iowa State. Iowa State beat them.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Shit.
That by 1 point. That was a nail biter.
Yeah.
That was probably that would have almost been the greatest win that Iowa State had this year. And then there was those other 2 wins that they had.
That TCU and Okie.
Yeah, where they actually looked like some sort of like contender. They were like the Auburn of earlier in the year. We should have kept them for life champions at 8-5 if you think about it.
Who's that?
Iowa State. You know,
Iowa State fans would have celebrated it.
Yeah, they would have. They would have actually demanded a trophy that we would have had to pay for with our money.
We can't give the life championship to a fan base that actually wants it.
Yeah, UCF would take it right now.
They might take it.
They might take it, depending on how we phrased it.
They did beat SMU, and SMU went 7-6.
Yeah, that's bowl worthy.
Yeah,
sort of,
and they
in 2007
lost their bowl in a squeaker, 51-10 to Louisiana Tech.
In a squeaker.
Yeah,
that's a sad story.
It is.
This whole thing's a sad story, really.
But yeah, I'm trying to give UCF the benefit of the doubt.
Well, we actually, in full disclosure, we actually had talked to a UCF smacker who's popped up online recently, a fellow by the name of Stephen Ray White, and who agreed to come on the show, and suddenly over the course of the day decided to back out. So
yeah, he didn't like the fact that I think he thought it was just going to be going to kind of side with him. It was going to be a big rah-rah session.
Yeah.
UCF. When I told him we were going to.
Well, I mean, you know, it's not the fact that we were going to counter what he's going to say because we were going to pick on him or anything. It's we were going to counter what he was saying because, you know, we got half a lick of fucking sense.
Yep.
You know, I'm sorry. You can't. You can win. You can win 50. You can win 50 games if you.
I got real fucking news here. Justin Pike. He just come across my news feed. If Alabama beats UGA for the national championship, I will pee in a cup, drink it live on SEC Smack the following day.
I call bullshit on that one.
Come on,
you know, Tiggy was supposed to eat shit. No, he didn't do it. Now, of course, and again, I want to say that's kind of what that sounds like. I want to say that he's still. I don't know. It sounds like he's kind of imitating Tiggy a little bit.
Tiggy can eat shit, but he won't.
He won't.
God damn it.
I could eat shit. I've actually eaten shit before, and it's not very fun.
Not purposely.
No, not purposely.
Just had a little turd fall.
Yeah, just a little droplet. Not like the whole turd.
Right.
Yeah, I've never put a whole turd in my mouth.
And here is G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip. G.I. Joe has hands that grip. Fingers you hold open and let close. Hands that hold on with a Kung Fu Grip. The grip you help Joe use in self-defense. G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip. The hands that grip.
Visit our Facebook pages, Smacking Off the Podcast fan page and Smacking Off the Podcast group page, facebook.com/group/smackoff, facebook.com/smackologists.
Was it
that
you,
I remember.
Was it you that was telling me that your dad was doing some plumbing and had two pipes apart?
Yeah.
And basically it screamed up, "Don't use the toilet." And about that time,
No, he actually went up and knocked on the guy's door, and it was in a house over in Homewood.
Yeah.
And it was like a 3-story house or something. So he had to walk up like a lot of stairs, like pop, 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 all these stairs.
Right.
Gets to the top, knocks on the door, tells the guy, "Hey, we're fixing to work on your sewer." Full disclosure, for my real regular job, the one that I actually get paid for, not this lovely profession. I'm a plumber, and Dad's a plumber too. And Dad's got the sewer line took apart, and we're actually going to add a fitting onto it so we can attach the rest of our plumbing to his existing plumbing. And
you just had the one request, right?
Just had the one request. Hey, we've got the sewer open now. We've already cut it open. Please don't use it. Clops all the way back down the stairs, gets his tools ready, gets the fitting ready, and goes and has his hand kind of like, in that general area where it's separated, and looks over at me to ask for a tool or something like that. And at that point, you just hear it, just whoosh. And my dad, instead of moving, just immediately just gets pissed. "Oh, man, I can't believe it. Damn it, this, that, and the other. I told him." And no sooner than he says that, with his hand still there, just a turd perfect just came out right in the meat of his hand. That dude. I'd seen my dad pissed off on quite a few occasions.
I mentioned that to him one time.
And this guy's paying him thousands of dollars to do his plumbing. My dad went up there and sassed him like a 3-year-old.
I asked him about this one time.
He didn't want to talk about it, did he?
He looked at me for about 10 seconds, and then he started talking about something else.
Yeah, it's still a sore subject. We're not allowed to bring it up at Christmas.
Right. All right. So we went from UCF to a turd falling in your dad's hands.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's about the same.
It's kind of the same.
I don't see where we diverted from the subject.
I mean, one came from the toilet bowl, and one went to the peach bowl.
Yeah, which is pretty much the same thing.
Pretty much.
2 turds floating in a peach bowl.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it was great. They did beat Auburn. Auburn beat both Alabama and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
UCF had a great season, but they're actually damaging now what people are going to remember about this season.
Yeah, absolutely. They're now that Butch Jones is gone, they're going to be forever remembered as the life champions. From here on out. Not necessarily the life champions, but I'm sure there'll be some sort of variation of it.
Can we change the name of it? What was it before? The Butch Jones
Life Championship.
The Butch Jones Annual Life Championship to the UCF Black Knights. No, let's see. What can we call it?
Can we call it? Well, we can't call it the Scott Frost, because I don't think Scott's got anything to do with all this foolishness.
No, he's been talking a little bit, but he's back up in Nebraska.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's in Nebraska. Of course, he's going to help his old school out. They're going to play their little game, and he's going to do his little thumbs up real quick, and then he's going to cut the camera off and say, "Hey, let's not talk about that shit anymore, please."
We'll get people's opinion.
I'm Nebraska's coach now.
This definitely needs to become something other than the Butch Jones. This has transcended Butch Jones now.
It really has. Of course, we could. I don't think you can mention the life champions and not bring Butch Jones up, because it's that story needs to remain intact.
Where is he?
I don't know. He's probably at home, because he's got a buyout, doesn't he? He didn't have to do anything. He can sit and go fishing for the next 6 months. Lucky bastard.
He can probably do it longer than that.
Yeah.
If he
he'll get bored with it after
if he
a while.
cuts down on his lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know how coaches are. He probably had all the perks.
Strippers and whores.
Yeah, he's gonna have to let the cable package go. He's gonna have to take it down to the basic cable package.
Yeah. not get all the movie channels and all the different
Yeah.
sports packages.
Gonna have to go from gigabyte internet back to 100.
Or back to dial-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Pay by the minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
AOL.
All right. What do they say down in UCF? What's the UCF chant?
I have no
out.
idea.
Let's
Except
find
for, I don't know, something about a national championship now.
UCF.
What the fuck is that? Are they clapping now? Does your chant have a clap in it?
Isn't it? It just sounded like a really...
Actually, what I just heard a second ago wasn't.
Here it is. Nick Saban. Sorry, Lane Kiffin on Nick Saban versus Kirby Smart.
And we welcome Lane Kiffin to our program. Coach, great to have you back on the show. It's great to see you in New Orleans, and I can't wait to get your thoughts on this matchup of two people that you've worked very closely with, Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul. Thanks for having me. Good to see you as well. Yeah, I think it's obviously a great matchup. I think everybody's a lot of people pointing to Kirby knowing Coach Saban, but I saw yesterday that stat. I'm sure you know that none of his coaches have ever beat him before, so there's probably something to that. Whatever it was, 0-8 or 0-9 or something between all of his former assistants once they become head coaches. So, but this one's so intriguing, as you know, because you got. Not only do you have that, you got the Jeremy Pruitt knowing Georgia's roster from being their coordinator 2 years ago, and you got, Kirby knowing Alabama's roster. So, it's very intriguing.
I'm interested as a coach, and I mean, if you were to play Saban, it would be offense versus defense. But help us understand what you learn being around Nick Saban, but what he knows that maybe is not going to be beneficial. I mean, in other words, what tendencies would Kirby Smart know about Coach Saban, and likewise, what would Saban know about Smart?
Well, I think what's going to happen this week is, both defensive coordinators, obviously, Jeremy and Kirby, they know the situations well, and they know the ins and outs of the defense. What will happen is they'll end up spending it, I'm sure, Coach Saban and Coach Smart, where they're going to spend some time is they're going to spend time with their offensive coordinators, with Dayball and Chaney, explain, okay, this is what hurts Alabama's defense schematically and personnel. This is what hurts George, when they're in these coverages and these calls. And, you got so many things to deal with. You got Mel Tucker, who came from Alabama, the defensive coordinator. So, they're going to have to worry about changing signals, to their players this week. And I heard Coach Saban, complain about, it being a short week or something, but it's just like playing 2 road games, it's, so, they're going to have a lot of work to do.
You, by the way, Coach Kiffin, you weren't surprised that Coach Saban found something to complain about, were you?
Shocker. I saw that this morning. How are you complaining that the game's a week apart? That's what, that's what games are. They're a week apart. And you play 2 road games. He didn't have to go. Kirby's the one who had to go across the country, not him.
We all got a kick, well, maybe some of us did the other night. The game was in hand, Coach Kiffin. It was over. Alabama was heading to Atlanta. And then Nick Saban unloaded on Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator. He chewed him out up and down one side and the other. And it's a feeling that well. We're actually showing it right now, but for those who missed it, it was a kind of an awkward pass play, and Saban just walks over and just goes crazy. Why does he do things like that?
Well, I don't think that's the surprise. The surprise was when I read the paper the next day and the press conference afterwards, where when he did it to me and they asked him, it was like he was excited to tell you those are called ass chewings, and he was putting me in his place, and he had a big smile on his face. And on this one, they asked him, and and he said, "Oh, I was being a fan. I was probably wrong." And I was like, "Well, is Coach Saban okay?"
He admitted he was wrong about something.
Yeah, I mean, I was very shocked about that. He was kind of defending it. So that just is what it is. He's very competitive. He gets caught up in the moment. And so, and that kind of, him well. That kind of fits his personality. There's probably, he thinks things so far through that's probably a message to, trying to show, making sure everybody knows, hey, we're not satisfied or don't get complacent where we're at. We got another game to win. And so, that's his leadership style.
Coach Kiffin, I want to ask you about Jalen Hurts, someone you're still very close to. I know he has reached out to you many, many times, including over the weekend in New Orleans. But there's a frustration from some Alabama fans with him. What have you seen with him this year? And he's facing another national championship game like he did last year. What do you expect from him?
Well, I think it's crazy. First off, when you think about, if you look at that sideline kind of during the game, and you talk to people around there and stuff, there were a lot of people in that organization on that sideline, that thought they were going to go to Tua during that game, which is crazy to think. Lead and go to a true freshman, but they've been blown away with Tua's month of preparation and practice, and a lot of people thought he was going to play in that game. So it's crazy to have two great quarterbacks like that, that are so young, a true sophomore and a true freshman. So, Jalen did make some plays, in the game, and again, he won the game, and I think you guys, what are we going on 13 games now? He's thrown one interception all year, so that stuff gets missed too. Protecting the football, putting your team in position to win. And people got to do their job around them. There are times in that game now, it could have been a lot worse. As you saw people coming free off the edge and stuff, and Jalen making a miss, and at least if not making a first down, getting them out of a sack. So I think he does a lot of things that are hidden within the stats.
I want to ask you about Kirby Smart, because I know you guys were close. You certainly were opposite coordinators on the staff. I mean, going against him every day in practice. Describe him, what you've been able to see in him, your relationship, and how you think he is dealing with this moment that is pretty extraordinary for a second-year coach.
It sure is. Kirby did a phenomenal job this year, and great run there as a coordinator, and 10 years with Coach Saban, and he's put together a great staff. And you talk to people that know recruiting too. They're killing it in recruiting. They're stealing recruits from Alabama that they thought they were getting, and they've got the state locked down, in Georgia. So not only is he doing a great job as he's on the field, the future is extremely bright there, and just an unbelievable job for just 2 years on the job.
They sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah. I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay. How's about taking a nap?
Hey, I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it. Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking.
Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
All right, we got a great show tonight. Who we got coming on?
I don't know. I think all this talk about UCF really killed the mood for me now. So we didn't even do a show anymore. Yeah, because Alabama's still playing for the national championship.
Right.
Hell yeah, we're gonna do a show.
Yep, and we got BAMA fan extraordinaire coming on, SM Gibson.
SM Gibson is a very dear friend of mine. SM Gibson, actually, we didn't get a chance to talk about it during our segment, but you'll get to hear it later. SM's actually a writer and pretty much a man about town all over the internet. He's been a writer and the number 2 guy over at Anti-Media for quite some time. And you've pretty much, at some point in time, you've seen one of his memes on the internet. He's had a bunch of them go ultra mega viral and into the millions. That's how he makes his money. But he's a huge Alabama fan and a very dear friend of the show. And we can't wait to talk to him. And we've also got, as usual, our square table discussion is winding down. We're going to talk to the gang about the games that were, the games to be. And I'm kind of expecting a pretty spirited conversation in this one, but I'm not going to give it away just yet. Stay tuned. Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages. Email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team. And we're back on Smacking Off the podcast. I'm joined here tonight with a very, very, very special a friend of the show and a dear friend of mine, dear friend of Doug's as well. We've known this fellow a long time. He is a huge Alabama fan. Please welcome SM Gibson. SM, how are you doing this evening?
Can't complain. Getting ready for Monday. How are y'all doing?
God, man, I can't wait. I just, and I hate to say it, I'm probably the only skeptic in this conversation that didn't think that Alabama was going to get it. I really didn't think we were going to get in the final four selection. Doug had no reservations whatsoever. He knew it was going to happen.
It wasn't because
I didn't
of
feel
Alabama.
that good about it at first.
It wasn't because of Alabama though. I really just thought that Ohio State blew it, and
they did.
And you look at the top 10 the top 6, 7. There was nobody else. Alabama got in by default.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter how they got in.
And we had said this on another broadcast, the fact that, this selection committee wasn't really looking at who was winning. It was more about evaluating the losses. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, people overlook, and it seems like Ohio State fans have just lost their mind that they overlooked the Iowa loss. If that would have been Alabama, they wouldn't have gotten in. Everybody's like, well, Alabama gets all this favoritism. Well, if they would have lost to Iowa, gave up 55 points and lost by 31, no, they wouldn't have. The end.
Yeah, you're right.
And even if that was their only loss.
I'll go further than that. I think that if Ohio State would have played Iowa close and they had 2 losses, I still think Ohio State would have got in. It would
if they'd have played them close and won.
No.
Oh, and lost.
I think they would have got in with a close loss.
Even with 2 losses and losing at home to
I think they would have, because it was a political thing, but the loss to Iowa was so bad that they just couldn't pull the trigger on it.
Well, let's talk about the win over Clemson, because, again, we want to talk about horrible losses, and we can talk for a second about who Clemson lost to and got in and was the number 1 seed.
Right.
And we all know how that worked out. Scott, did you just absolutely go apeshit after that game?
I was excited. Honestly, going into it, I was about 51-49 that Alabama was going to win. I wasn't just over the moon. It was a slam dunk that they were going to win that game. I believe going into the game, even though they had their problems, that Clemson was the deserved number 1 team in the country. I don't think any team this year has just been outright dominant. Now, maybe if Alabama didn't have the injuries that they've had, that'd be a different story. But they have had the injuries, and they, especially in the Auburn game, the play calling, Jalen Hurts just running around the field in circles. I don't know what that was about. And they did it a little bit against Clemson, which was a little bit unnerving to me. But I felt, and we'll see if the prediction comes true on Monday, but I felt that the winner of Alabama-Clemson, that was the national title game, I thought. I didn't really expect it to be a blowout like it was. And the only reason I gave Alabama the edge for that game was because of their underdog status. And I know how Alabama is, especially Saban. When Alabama's the underdog, you expect Alabama to win that game.
Yeah, and it wasn't even close. I mean,
no.
This has not been like the last 2 times with, just a superstar NFL caliber quarterback at the helm. Not taking anything away from Bryant, but he's no Watson. Let's be honest.
I think it just all goes back to Saban having a month to prepare for it. I mean, you give Saban a month in a national championship type setting. Scotty, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. But anyway, you were saying.
You give Saban a month in a national championship type setting. Now, it's going to be a little tougher this week because he don't have long to prepare for Georgia. But I will say that Georgia, typically, against a Saban team, the type of team that Georgia is, they're tailor-made for Bama.
Right.
I mean, they've got to run, and their quarterback's probably not going to beat you.
And which, now I will say this, though, I'm not going to take anything away from Fromm, and Fromm has improved greatly as the season has progressed.
He's great when Georgia can run.
And when it mattered most, he stepped up in the Oklahoma game. No two ways around it.
I think that we're possibly going to see something similar to what happened at Auburn. We're going to see Georgia's run get shut down again, and then, Fromm may surprise us, but I don't think he will.
So how do you feel like more injuries from Alabama in the linebacker core? How do you think that's going to affect everything?
I think
it's not good.
No, it's definitely not good. I still think that Alabama, because of the caliber of game it is, and the people that come in, they don't have the experience, but we're talking about 5-star talent still. I think that Bama will still handle it. I think that Georgia may have some success running early, but I think that Bama will adjust to it.
Because again, some of our linebackers, as further down the depth chart, have got some really valuable playing time this season. It's not like they're going into this thing fresh.
Well, we got some people back now, but then we just lost another. So
true. But that's what I'm saying. We there's been a lot of rotation in depth, particularly at linebacker.
I believe Hand coming back was huge.
That was very.
I
huge.
agree. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the stat that keeps getting thrown around is the Saban versus the assistant coaches. Mm-hmm. How do you think that plays into this with Kirby? Because this isn't like just some assistant coach. This was the guy that was on the sidelines for 9 years. He probably knows Saban teams as well as anybody that ever has outside of Nick Saban. And he's replicated that within 2 years at Georgia and has his team in the national title. Do you think that Saban just walks over him like every other assistant coach, or do you think this is going to be a lot more even of a matchup coaching-wise?
I think that it may be even matchup coaching-wise, but I think Bama still has the edge in the amount of talent that they've got.
Now, maybe in a couple of years,
yes,
2 or 3 years,
right.
Once all of this amazing.
Oh yeah, what Kirby's done is scary. It's scary looking to the future, and hell, he may win this year, but I don't see it. I think Bama's on a mission right now.
Did y'all see the video, by the way, of the strength coordinator and
the second place trophy? Yeah.
Yes. How amazing!
Have you
was
seen
that?
this yet, Doug?
Cochran took that thing.
I loved it. I absolutely
spiked it.
Yeah, that's big nuts right there. I love that.
I like Cochran.
Of course, I love watching that guy.
I haven't seen him.
Anyways, he's so much fun.
You talking about Cochran?
Yes.
Does he get on the sidelines?
Yeah. You're talking about their strength and conditioning coach, right? Yeah. Oh, he's all over the place.
That's a new thing, man.
Patting people on the tail and jumping up and down. He's like their biggest cheerleader on the sideline.
Back in the day, man, like Stallings' his strength and conditioning coach. I'm not even sure he was at the game.
Well, again, I mean, when was the last time that anybody has ever talked about any team's strength and conditioning coach? That man is he's definitely brought a lot of thunder to.
Were you asking the last time somebody talked about him? When Kirby left Alabama, he actually hired him over at Georgia, and Saban yanked his ass right back.
Yeah.
And do you realize that at Bryant-Denny before the games that he comes up on the Jumbotron, and I'm sure it's a recorded thing, but he comes up on the Jumbotron and starts getting the crowd pumped up?
I know what he did one time. I was a little disappointed in.
Right.
And I don't want to go off on a political tangent, but he did a public service announcement telling everybody to get their flu shots.
Damn it! Oh
I
man,
know
they've sucked him in.
That was I believe that was in 2009 when Bama was playing in Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, man, don't fucking run this shit. But anyway.
But you just have to ask yourself then, what would Tony Brown do, and then just do what he would do. And so, the end.
Well,
probably instead of a flu shot, get a gold watch.
Right.
Oh hell yeah! I want a gold watch.
How do you see this one going, Scott? SM?
I think Alabama, if they can survive the injuries, I think they'll win. This is a weird game because of where they're at. I mean, who's got home field advantage here? I know technically, yeah, it's Georgia, but okay, they're in Georgia, but Alabama plays there way more than Georgia plays there.
Right.
Alabama's fan base is more than used to going to Atlanta. I give the edge to Alabama, and it could get ugly. In theory, it could be ugly, but then again, Georgia could win the game. I mean, they're a very talented team, and Kirby is an X factor that I don't think we've dealt with other assistants.
Yeah, I mean, and and I've got to ask the question: Has any other assistant that has faced Nick as a head coach elsewhere, has any of them ever really kind of come into it with these accolades? Well, okay, Jimbo Fisher, I guess is probably the closest to that.
McElwain, because of what he did at Colorado State, but once he got to Florida, even though he had pretty successful seasons, yeah, that didn't work out.
We're not talking about playing for the national championship. I think the only one that's really had like
Jimbo,
this much success would be Jimbo, and of course we saw what happened the last time we faced him. I think we probably ended old Frenchie's career.
Yeah. I will say this. If you look at all the Alabama losses from the past 5 years, there's always the constant of a dominant quarterback. That's just an all-time quarterback, whether it's Shaun Watson or Cam Newton or Johnny Manziel.
You just stole what I was going to say.
But Georgia doesn't have that kind of quarterback.
Yeah, Fromm has the potential of being that quarterback.
No, I don't think
he's just
he
not
does.
there yet.
Not that level. Not Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson.
I think
he's a very
No, he's a game manager.
But he is.
Right, he's an Alabama quarterback. He's an A.J. McCarron.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and you look at Nick Chubb, okay, well, he's an unbelievable running back, but look at all the unbelievable running backs that Alabama has gone up against, and one might I mention from LSU a couple of years ago. How did that work out?
Who's the last team that lined up against Saban's Bama and ran and beat us by running?
Auburn.
When?
The stupid kick that I don't mention.
Oh yeah, you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to go.
Yeah, but
we need to move on to a different part.
You got to remember. You got to remember though that what was that quarterback's name? God damn.
Was that Nick Marshall? I don't remember.
Nick Marshall. But they were running.
Yeah, he won the Heisman that year, didn't he?
No, he didn't. He didn't win the Heisman, but he had a hellacious day that day.
Yeah. He did.
And they didn't have a hellacious run game that day, but they were getting us with. They actually scored. According to Jimbo Fisher, they scored on an illegal play because they had a lineman downfield.
Really?
Did you ever see that?
I didn't realize that. That game never happened in my mind.
Yeah, we've talked way too much about this game already.
I don't subscribe to.
I think we need to fast forward and go ahead and talk about this year's national championship and leave all of that in the dust.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a fast forwarding zone right there, and we'll edit it in. Then, okay.
Excellent. Okay, good deal. All right, and we're back. Okay, now let's finish talking about this national championship. That was very unpleasant, by the way.
Okay, what is Alabama? To either one of y'all, what does Alabama do on offense? Like, are they going to continue this? Jalen just spins around in circles. Are they going to run the ball, or?
Well, again, it's really going to depend on, I don't know. I mean, I would say run.
Yeah, I would.
Georgia's going to be ready for that, though, I think.
Yeah, as well as Alabama. And that's why I kind of think that lends to the credence that this may be a really low-scoring affair. Maybe.
I'm looking at something. I mean, when I think about Georgia, Alabama, I think after watching the Clemson Alabama game, I think it's going to look a lot like the Alabama Clemson game. I could be wrong, but
you're talking about this year's Alabama Clemson games.
Yes.
There's so many to choose from lately.
Yes, I think that Fromm's going to throw some picks. I think that Georgia's probably going to. They may have a rusher that gets 100 yards, but they're not gonna penetrate.
Probably Michelle. Sonny Michelle has been on.
But they're not gonna have 200 yards rushing. It's going to be less than that total. I don't know. I think that Fromm makes some errors.
You don't think that they'll make 200 yards rushing total at all?
No.
Between Chubb and Michelle?
No, because Bama don't give up 200 yards rushing in games.
True. Very true.
We could be wrong. They are good running backs.
Oh, excellent.
I think Michelle will have more success than Chubb because I think
do.
Chubb feeds into what Alabama shuts down best. And
That's what I'm
Michelle
saying.
Just seems like a quicker back.
I'm saying Michelle.
Very inventive.
Is the most. He has the most chance of getting over 100 yards, and the other back won't get anywhere close to that.
Oh! Have you been butthurt by the Alabama Crimson Tide? Do these butthurt symptoms sound familiar?
Oh! He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole. The flame will start burning. Burn and burn and burn. That flame will be an eternal flame coming out of the butthole. Flame of fire is going to come out that butthole. Flame coming out of the butthole. Flame coming out of your butt. Oh, you're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole. Your butthole will be flaming and you will not be able to sit down. And there'll be people walking around all over America with flames coming out of their buttholes. Oh!
So if you've been butthurt by the Alabama Crimson Tide, don't fight back alone. Call me, Attorney Bobby Shinora. I will fight for you.
Oh!
But as far as Alabama's offensive production, I think it's going to depend on largely the game plan that they have versus what Georgia has on defense. Saban's he's a matchup kind of guy. Looking deeper and deeper and deeper into every single little fact and stat to try to stack the deck as best as he can in position play.
I think it's going to be just like Bama has looked. You're not going to see a lot of long drives or anything. You're just going to see some big plays.
Yeah, I really do. I don't know if Bama's running game can figure out Georgia's defense and at least grind it out like they've been able to do all season long. Then they could definitely pull away early and often.
Yep.
Clock management's going to be. I think it's going to be a big factor in this game as well.
And it's Alabama basically against Alabama light.
You're right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. On both sides of the ball.
So really, Alabama should be very comfortable because they practice against this all the time. Of course, Georgia does too, but they're in the early stages of this system.
And also,
Correct.
too,
Yeah.
I can't stress this enough. That game against Oklahoma was a very physical, very long, very drawn-out game. There was a lot of emotion that went into that game and came out of that game.
And Bama coasted.
And how was that? Yeah, Bama coasted. Bama was on. That just looked like the same.
So Bama spent
every Saturday.
Bama spent no emotion in that game, and Georgia spent their entire.
They spent their wallet.
Their purse.
Yeah.
Well, see, I disagree with that, and this is what does concern me. Even though Alabama did win the game pretty handily, is because Clemson has been the team to beat for the past 2 years. Clemson's who they lost to last year, as we all know. And Jalen Hurts' screensavers all season were Clemson. That was definitely a game they had to get through. That was the game to beat. And now this is kind of the afterthought.
Are you scared
about Alabama Clemson?
Are you kind of scared that this is kind of the end-all, be-all in their minds that they've just accomplished?
Yeah, and luckily I know Saban's not going to let them, but yeah, there is a bit of a fear of that they did what they set out to do. They got the revenge against Clemson.
Yeah, but you got to realize that this team...
This is like having a game after LSU in 2011 in the national title. It's and now you have to play another game.
A lot of players, yeah, you're right. A lot of players, though, from this Bama team experienced winning 14 games in a row last year and then having it all go out the fucking door in one play.
Yeah, at the very end of the game.
So they know this shit ain't done yet. I mean, they're young, These are still they're kids, but they still know that there's no trophy in the.
You saw what they did to that number 2 trophy, Scott.
Yeah,
I mean they kicked it to shred. It's gone. It does not exist.
I think that Georgia's got a better shot of being spent than Bama does.
I think that's true because
just because of the nature.
The Oklahoma game was a beast.
The nature of the two games, but I do agree with what you're saying that it could be a situation. I think I would fear it more if Kirby was Bama's coach, being a young coach, But
Yeah.
Saban knows this shit can all be over, on Monday.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, also too, Kirby was with Saban for how many years now? What did you say it was 9?
9 years.
Yeah, 9 years.
He was actually with him longer than that. He
was the defensive coordinator at Alabama.
He was with him at LSU, and he followed him to the Dolphins, and then followed him to Bama.
So, I guess maybe this would be the longest that someone was with Saban that is now stepped apart from Saban is actually going to be facing him now.
Yeah.
So basically, so I guess my question would be is he's the assistant that was with him the longest, that was with him through the good times and the bad times, just like the song goes and so on and so forth. And so I don't know. That's kind of a weird X factor too when we go back to that one stat about, Saban being undefeated against his assistant.
There's definitely
there's not been another assistant that knows Saban frontwards, backwards, sideways, and has been in this situation with him. I mean, again, that's I don't know if that stat's going to apply here.
Should we edit in the Lane Kiffin interview? Have you watched it? Lane Kiffin actually addressed what you're talking about right now.
Anytime anybody brings Lane Kiffin to me up, I always think about the Tosh Boyno segment, the Kiffin's Crimson Corner.
You remember that, SM?
And the cream pies?
I do, but now from here on out, I'm just going to remember him. Was it on First Take that he had his RTR hat on yesterday?
Did you?
Oh man!
Did you watch him talk about this game?
I watched part of it. I didn't watch it all. I watched him talk about the current offensive coordinator get chewed out on the sidelines, and him just kind of cut some jokes here and there. But I didn't see his in-depth analysis of it. What did he say?
You know what? I haven't seen it yet either. I just seen the link, and
I haven't seen it
and
yet.
I actually
as soon
saved
as you
it.
said Lane Kiffin, I was like, okay, I already know what this is about.
It was a 15-minute video. I did not click on it, but I've got it highlighted.
It's probably going to be 15 minutes of some pretty good shit.
Oh, definitely.
Man, he's a joy to watch on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would say Bama's going to win, honestly.
I don't know why Tennessee didn't try to make a stab for Lane Kiffin to come back over there. And hey, let's just go and put all this old shit behind us, and you come on back here.
I hope
bring us some
that
hardware.
He stays at Florida Atlantic for 10 years, like his new contract says. I hope that UCF has laid the groundwork for Lane Kiffin to get his Owls into the playoffs because they threw such a fit that non-Power 5 conference teams can't get in. And then Lane Kiffin starts bringing national titles to the FAU. That's what I want to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think
probably not.
We have just as great of a chance as UAB, jumping on.
Oh, no, they got way more of a chance than UAB. Way more.
Yeah, UAB might not be here in 5 years. Who knows?
Did you see what happened to Terry Bowden in that bowl game?
I seen the score, but did something actually happen?
They manhandled them. I mean, it was embarrassing.
Yeah, he was Terry's coaching where now?
Akron.
Akron, yeah.
I thought somebody might have tripped him on the sideline.
Oh no, he got decimated.
Oh, yeah,
it was bad.
He looks like an old man. He really does.
It's been a while since he coached at Auburn. Maybe he is an old man.
He looks like he wears makeup too, like just a little bit for the cameras.
Yeah,
like Pat Sajak does. Yeah.
Does Sajak still host?
I hope
anything.
So. I hope so. I hope Vanna White's still there too. She's got to be like 70 now.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have
Terry's
this talk.
Looking old.
He really is, man. I was kind of shocked, and he needs to work on his weight, man. I'm telling you, that he's thick.
You think Auburn?
That ain't healthy.
You think Auburn would hire him back?
No. They're stuck with Gus Malzahn for the next 7 years. They've had to pay Terry for what, like 4 years?
7 years. If Saban stays the whole 7, he may win 1 or 2 of them. He might. He wins about.
You're talking about Saban?
No, I'm talking about Malzahn.
Malzahn?
Yeah. He wins about every 3 or 4 years.
I don't think he's gonna do it anymore. Just like he was supposed to win this year. I mean, he did beat the 2 greatest teams in college football, the ones that are going to be playing for the real national championship.
Right.
And they were given the 2017 Life Championship here by the show.
Should I put a meme out advertising Auburn as Life champions again and put an asterisk what do you call that up under and say that they beat the two teams that are in the national championship game?
Yeah.
I just don't think they're the live champions, though, because they lost in the live champions bowl that was held in Georgia.
That's what I'm saying. I'm really thinking UCF is our new live champions. I told you we should have added the basics.
Too many wins.
I had this conversation with Doug back when we were picking the live champions, and I personally thought we should have waited to the end of the postseason.
You want to bring it back?
We need to, because UCF has made a claim. We could have got that one guy on to talk about it.
You want to do
it? Actually, come on the air.
You want to do it next week, or you want to do it this week?
We'll do it next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And go ahead and declare them live champions, and that is, you want to make a trophy? You want to get a trophy?
Yeah.
We gonna mail it down there?
Yeah, I think so. What, it'd be like the life game?
Will we film going down to the post office to mail it and everything?
Hell yeah!
All
right. The life championship documentary. I love it.
Okay, let's do it.
Will you narrate this for us, Mr. Gibson?
Sure, that sounds wonderful.
Excellent, man. That's what I'm talking about. This is teamwork, right?
We're accomplishing a lot in this segment.
Seriously, we were actually supposed to do a segment with a UCF smacker, which I believe it or not, that's a thing.
I pissed him off.
They have fans?
This guy, no. Apparently, this guy was a dick rider. He's apparently a Texas fan or something like that. Came in and trolling one of the SEC.
Oh well,
games.
fair enough. I don't blame him. Then.
Well, but it was a mystery though. When I contacted the guy this morning, and then as the day has unraveled, we found out everything we needed to know about this guy. And well, he's just not on the show tonight anymore. He was still invited. I want to go ahead and say that right now. We're actually going to do.
What's his name?
Stephen Ray something, which the middle name Ray usually means that he's going to be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Or serial rapist or serial killer rapist. One of the
Something
three.
like that.
Yeah. That's the thing, apparently.
I mean, all I really told him is that we were going to put...
Stephen Ray White is his name. He's actually in a couple of the groups right now waving the UCF banner, but when he's actually pressed about stats and schedules and this, that, and the other, he has nothing to say. He just posts memes.
Right.
Does he tap dance?
I'd love to be able to tell you that. He's opted not to come on the show tonight.
Oh, I really told him, SM, as I told him in the chat. I told him we're going to counter what you say. Just be prepared that, this ain't going to be a rah-rah UCF thing. We're going to counter with another side to this.
Yeah, facts.
And then he comes back.
With actual facts.
Stats.
And then he comes back and says, I don't associate with people who, what did he say?
Something to the effect of I don't associate it with people who don't win undeserved championships, and I don't mess with cowards or something like that. And I think it was kind of cowardly for him not to want to come on the show, but whatever. I mean, fuck him.
Well, it sounds like he pulled a Colt McCoy, so I guess pulling for Texas is the right thing.
He's lying at his living room floor, holding his leg right now, looking out the window, making sure nobody's looking at him as he goes to slide.
I've been thinking about it. We can't take Auburn's live championship. We're going to make UCF live champions. Come on, man. We can't take their championship.
That's even better.
But then
That's
they would
such
have
an Auburn thing. They finally win a championship and they still have to split it.
Yeah. But then at the same time, though, Auburn, they won the game. So, yeah, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is indicative of Auburn's whole entire season.
Right.
Beat the two greatest teams in the land and still get shut out.
We need to mention that, it was a pretty good game in Atlanta. Had it been in Jordan-Hare, Auburn would have won 48-10. Probably.
Oh, probably so.
Oh yeah. No, it'd probably been a shutout.
Their home field is the most impactful home field advantage I've ever seen, ever.
Well, y'all do remember
I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. Like, it really is. Like, there's voodoo on that play.
No, I'm going to tell y'all what it is. If you go back and look, and you scan on Google real quick, there was a case back in 2015, late 2015, where there was a lab tech that was arrested for like apparently manufacturing a bunch of GHB, the date rape drug.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that they probably still got some of the old stash and they're putting just a little bit of it in the opposing team's water. That's where I'm going to tell the NCAA and the FBI to start, anyways. So,
hey, we got to get off here. We got to that segment with SM sometime after 8. You said.
Oh man. SM, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, and we're back.
Oh, shit.
Well, man, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Before you get off the air, give us a final score prediction. Just throw one out there.
Alabama 31, Georgia 14.
Roll Tide on that. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on, and roll tide.
Fine. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, I can hear y'all now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear Timothy. Shaun Cagle.
Okay.
Calling Shaun Cagle.
I'm here.
Oh,
Excellent.
cool.
Okay, good. We're all here now. Excellent.
All right, this is not really a square table discussion. This is more of like a triangle table discussion.
A bar stool discussion. You know, bar stools have 3 legs.
Yeah, but this is what we're talking about, a big game here.
A very big game. I guess, man, where do we want to start with this one tonight?
With UCF.
Yeah, we need to talk about UCF, the real champions, first off. I guess everybody's heard about UCF, and
let's give each person a chance to chime in on UCF.
I think so. I think it's only fair because they are the true champions, and we need to give them at least a moment of this conversation before we just talk about this meaningless national championship game. So, Shaun, Devine, we'll start with you. What have you heard about UCF, and how does it make you feel today?
And tell the truth.
Shaun? What?
He's holding out on us.
Yeah. I think
his microphone's muted.
He's messing around. His microphone's muted and he keeps going on and off video.
He's probably trying to mac on some chicks or something. Okay, well then, moving right along. Thank you, Shaun.
That's his answer. He's like, no comment.
Yeah, Shaun feels like.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
There we go. There we go.
Excellent. Let's talk about some UCF.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the real national champions.
Well, as far as you becoming a national champion, but they haven't. They didn't play anybody other than Auburn in their.
Well, wait a minute now. Alabama didn't play anybody either. So come on.
Whoa.
Well, that's
they went through Alabama played an SEC schedule.
Man, that's a bunch of cupcakes. The SEC's down. They've got 2 teams in the national championship. It's a big fluke. Who's that yelling in the background? Where are you at?
Somebody in the background just said, "Fuck your mama."
Yeah.
Alabama played an SEC schedule, which is better than whatever Central Florida played. I don't care who the hell is on their schedule.
Hey, whoa. You need to back up with all that. Central Florida played Maryland.
They did play Maryland. They beat Maryland 38-10 at Maryland.
Handily. They beat them in their own house.
That's very cute.
They beat Memphis twice. Not once, but
2 times.
2 times. Twice.
Memphis is a powerhouse. Okay.
In basketball?
Then they also beat SMU.
Yeah.
And SMU went 7-6 and went to a damn bowl.
And haven't you heard SMU is in a brutal conference?
They got destroyed in their bowl game.
Who did?
Wasn't even close. And I don't even know who the hell they played in their bowl game.
Yeah, but they.
Louisiana Tech.
I don't think SMU did it. Yeah, that La Tech. Yeah.
And La Tech's got a powerful
offense. They got
offense.
La Tech in their bowl game.
Well,
in their home state.
I mean, I think you're reaching on this one now. We're talking about all these meaningless stats. We need to talk about all the wins that UCF had because they were undefeated.
Real quick though, smacking off. We're actually we're thinking
UCF was undefeated in the Florida High School Athletic Association. That's great.
Yes, that you are correct, sir.
We're designating you guys. You are now our life championship committee for this year. I know we've already declared Auburn champs, but we're thinking that we may bring UCF in as co-champs.
I said we should have went for the postseason in this one. We've already picked Auburn, but they beat Auburn handily. It didn't take
long to figure that out. It took the AP a long time to figure out that they should wait till after the bowl season. So that's better progress.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't even done this for a year. So I mean, I
even heard that the committee didn't even recognize any of their wins either.
You talking about
They
UCF?
didn't even, they didn't even take them into account.
Yeah, but the live championship's going to take them into account.
Yeah, the live championship will take them seriously. We will be the championship for them.
May I have the floor about UCF?
Yes, sir. You can.
I think this is interesting. First of all, them claiming a national championship is ridiculous, but I totally understand why they would feel upset in the sort of way that they did. However, the problem for me is their schedule wasn't as bad as people made it out to be overall. They
I haven't
played
spoken to those in 10 years.
They played some ranked teams on their schedule.
Yeah, I need a large fry and a pie and a coffee.
They scheduled 2 Power 5 opponents, which is all you can really ask a Group of 5 team to do. It's hard to schedule multiple. I mean, most Power 5 teams don't schedule multiple Power 5 teams. Unfortunately, one was canceled because of a hurricane.
Yeah, Georgia Tech.
Now, you guys were kind of joking a little bit too much about the Alabama schedule because
there's a party going on.
Alabama's schedule did have Power 5 opponents on it, but it wasn't mind-blowing or anything like that. The SEC does have the 2 teams in the championship game, but as a whole, the league is down. So that is true. There's no way around it. But, this is interesting because UCF's the first champion that you look at and you go, maybe they legitimately could play with the big boys. Boise State did it, but they did it against an Oklahoma team that wasn't very good the year that they beat them. They were okay. And then Boise State kind of became a powerhouse for the Group of 5 after that, kind of the exception. And maybe UCF would have been the new exception had they kept, Scott Frost. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with them necessarily claiming it, but for everyone to be up in arms and saying, oh, they're the national champs, they would crush Alabama/Georgia, the fact that 2 SEC teams are in there is a joke. That's who the committee selected, and they won their games. It is what it is. Who cares what league they're in? If they've earned their way to the championship game, they've done it. So
yeah, there's a path, and it's made. And
yeah,
did UCF? Is it kind of funny that the committee tried to boost Alabama's resume by putting Fresno State in, and then ignoring UCF's wins against Memphis and USF? Yes, that's kind of funny. It's actually really comical, really, but. It's really not that big of a deal. But UCF did beat more 10-win teams than Alabama did. They wouldn't beat Alabama, though. But, I would say out of the you got to schedule like Houston. You got to schedule like Boise State.
Wow.
You got to schedule.
Something just happened, and you sound way better than you did earlier.
Because if you schedule Houston like Houston did, because Houston and Boise State always schedule pretty solid opponents. They lose them because they're a Group of 5 team most of the time, but they schedule them. So if you schedule them and go undefeated, I don't have a problem not having them in. But,
having them in what? The Peach Bowl?
Unfortunately, UCF didn't do enough to warrant being in, and that hasn't changed because they beat an Auburn team that's now 10-4.
Well, and they also did it after the committee selected. I mean,
right. I mean, Auburn. I'm not going to say Auburn didn't play hard because I didn't feel that they didn't play hard. But Auburn also has like the worst coach among Power 5 constant contenders.
No, man, they just gave that guy $50 million a year. He's a $50 million man. You're going to talk some shit like that? Are you serious?
Well, he sure cashed in that check.
Yes, he did. He cashed that the minute it was written.
All right.
I don't know how in the world he got that extension. If I was Auburn, I was going to be like, thank God Arkansas wants him. We need somebody else.
Shaun Cagle, I gotta jump to you real quick. What's your thought on UCF and what Timothy just said?
Hold on just a minute. I'm trying to order my UCF national championship shirt in case the dogs beat us come Monday.
I wear a medium, and I got a birthday coming up. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, Shaun, you just nailed it. You just nailed it. That's the only people that. Because I can't find any real UCF fans online, but all the people that are crying are from teams that didn't make it.
Yeah, the one guy that we got that was a UCF fan that was sort of willing to come on the show and then backed out on him almost immediately. We found out he's a Texas dick rider, so I mean,
Right.
It's them bandwagoners, man. I'm telling you.
You gotta love.
But I don't know.
Daily? Was that open?
What's that now?
UCF has a lot of fans. They have a big university, but. UCF, that's a program the Big 12 should try to add because they do have the type of student body that could sustain a Power 5 level in most sports, but they're not a Power 5 team right now.
I mean, I got to give it to them though. They were 0-12 2 years ago. When Scott Frost come in, he completely turned that whole.
Look, I'm not going to diminish what.
You're not going to have
Frost
the
did.
college saying that. Oh, we're going to order shirts and we're going to have a parade. We're the national champions. They give us a hard time saying we're claiming titles, and then look what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just be appreciative of what's happened and the thing that happened that transformed your program. I don't understand
you went
what was so wrong with that.
I mean, you went 13-0. I mean, leave it at that. I actually think by them going out and saying that they're the national champions and they're going to do
that's going to hurt them because they're not going to finish. They might have finished number 2 in the AP this year, like TCU
I mean,
did
it takes away from them going 13-0. I mean, they should have just left it where it was at. I mean, they won their conference. They were undefeated.
And quite frankly, they beat a very good Auburn team. I'm not going to say that Auburn was phenomenal this year because they definitely had some spots. But I mean, that was a very good Auburn team that beat.
Did they care about that bowl game though? Did they really care?
They definitely played hard.
Nah.
That's a terrible excuse. They played hard, and you could see during the game that they played hard. They were just not as good as UCF that day.
UCF was playing some really good ball.
I mean, if it was the Tractor Supply Bowl at Jordan Hare, they'd have probably won it.
If it was any bowl at Jordan Hare, they would have won it. And they probably would have won it by double digits.
Auburn tried to win the game. Auburn could have packed it in. They were losing by double digits and had a chance at the end to tie it. They tried to win the game. So I'm not.
No, I agree.
To say they didn't.
I don't think any team ever don't try to win a game. It's just it's a mental thing. Who was a better team at the right moment? When your goals are gone, and you go to the Peach Bowl.
And that says a lot for UCF's conference,
Instead of walking into the CFP because that's where Auburn was at, they were fixing to walk into the CFP if they just won one game.
If they come in and do it next year, I think the committee has to put them in. I mean,
you talking about UCF?
If they go into they have to.
If they win 25 in a row and they get left out, then the committee needs to go, or it has to be expanded to 6 or 8.
But here's the problem with that.
If they don't, that's the end of the CFP committee, I believe.
UCF though is they're
absolutely.
They just lost their coach though. Scott Frost is headed to Nebraska, so that's probably not going to happen.
They do return a lot of talent though. They do return a lot, and I'm a Sooner fan, so of course I'm hoping Josh Heupel does well. But I do remember him at Oklahoma sucking eggs, except against Alabama. So as an offensive coordinator, but so I hope he does well there. But it's going to be tough. They do get Mackenzie Milton back. That's a huge get. They have the guy with one arm who's pretty talented. I know that sounds bad. I don't remember his name. But what's funny is
his brother
got
actually
like 7 sacks in that game, and they ran a 3-man front, so they only had 5 hands down, and they beat 5 offensive linemen with 5 hands. So.
Did you see that meme that Bobby Wesson did? The one with the player, the one-arm player from South Florida, and he's holding the national championship trophy. It is beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful shots I've seen ever.
Tired of going to Atlanta. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think Auburn has a lot of flaws on tape. The reason why they lost 4 games this year is because there's flaws. They have more than enough talent. They had the most talented roster in the SEC this year. And that's not the first time that's happened and they didn't do well.
Yeah, you're right.
There's an internal problem.
Georgia has the most talented roster.
Hey, Shaun Devine, stand up and let us see that jersey you're wearing.
Come on. Yeah, we're not even watching.
I'm sure it's Georgia.
No, it's an Alabama jersey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is Shaun Devine repping Alabama tonight? Hell yeah.
No, he's not.
Hell yeah, yes he is.
Why are you repping Alabama?
Why not? I think it's beautiful.
Weird to me. I mean, isn't that the same game? Are you wearing a jersey from the same game where your team got beat?
I am, but it was bought for me.
That was awfully kind of them.
I think it was. That's a very nice shirt. Very expensive shirt, I might add.
Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to find those jerseys. I really wanted
on Shaun Devine's back, keeping it real. That's
Hey,
what's
my,
up.
my battle, she bought it for me. She's a Tuscaloosa alum, and it was very kind of her.
Really? Okay.
Okay,
So
I
you
gotcha.
fooling with some
So
Alabama
that
girls. I like
explains a
that.
lot.
But
I think we should all pitch in and buy Timothy a Georgia jersey from the
No, thank you.
Rose Bowl.
Oh man, that would be so nice.
Oh man, that's a game I want.
Sean,
really
you were
forget.
Sean. You're
That's
too
just
much
so tough.
tonight.
That game is. So are we going to talk about that game? You want to?
Let's talk about it. Let's
I
get it out
think
of the
we.
way.
Yeah, it's the it's the elephant in the room.
Y'all
so
go
to
ahead. I
speak.
gotta go take a shit. I'll be back in a minute.
So first of all, I want to say congratulations to Georgia. They were the most deserving team in that game. They played hard. Jake Fromm deserves a lot of credit. He was not a true freshman in that game. At least he didn't have the feel of one. Those guys didn't give up. And, I think that deserves a lot of credit. It's really hard to go down, more than 2 possessions in a game in football and come back and win. And Georgia did, and they deserve a lot of credit for doing that. Now I'm going to have to see, this is the Smacking Off podcast, and I'm about to smack off my coaching staff because that was the most conservative, the most try not to lose game plan I have ever seen in my life in a football game. And the thing is that throughout the whole second half, when Oklahoma played aggressively, Georgia still couldn't stop them. Throughout the whole game, Georgia had no answer for Dimitri Flowers, no answer for Rodney Anderson, and really no answer for Baker Mayfield. And they continued to play this conservative game. And then when the game got close enough, they started playing aggressive. Baker threw a pick, but then they also answered right after that with a touchdown. And then after that, we didn't see them play. They played conservative again. Down the stretch, you have a chance. 4th and 1, you don't go for that. That's one thing. But here's the other thing. It's 45-38. Your defense, that's not the best defense on the field. They do have a lot of playmakers and talent, but the defense had struggled all game. They came up with 3 consecutive huge stops, including a touchdown. And I know that they were on fire. But you're up 45-38. You have the football now because your defense got you yet another stop. Georgia should never have touched the football again unless they were down 14.
And touch the football they did. Quite a bit, I might add.
Yeah.
That was unacceptable. Absolutely. It's an unacceptable loss. Listen, I am okay when a team is just simply better than my team. When Clemson beat OU a couple years ago, it was a tough loss, but I understood because Clemson was better. In 2008, Oklahoma and Florida were a coin flip team. Both were great. They had Tim Tebow-led team. Oklahoma lost that game to another great team. 2005, USC was better. But this year, as good as Georgia was, and they're good, but they were not better than Oklahoma.
All right, guys, here it
They were not
goes. Y'all
better
have
than
fun.
All right, Devine, you're going to counter, right?
He better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and for a team that has a quarterback who likes to grab his balls, they had no balls when it came to the last 6 minutes of that game. No balls.
Yeah, they played scared. The Baker.
They played scared.
The quarterback,
and they
the
couldn't stop the
Heisman
run.
Trophy winner.
Could not,
Oh, no, they could not.
75 yards from Sony Michel was just, that turned the tide of the game right there.
What gets me in that game, too, the worst part about it is, if you look at, and you could just look at the log of the game on ESPN, Oklahoma either made them 3 or 4 plays and kicked the ball back to them, or they allowed like a 50-yard touchdown. And these touchdowns weren't just like Sony Michel and Nick Chubb were just highlight reeling, running over people. No one was in their gap. They were just literally opening a lane and going untouched for they could have danced around, did the moonwalk from the 50 and made it into the end zone. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything so foolish in my life. And listen, I sat here and said I thought Oklahoma could contain the run, and I was absolutely wrong. But here is a little bit of my thinking in this game. Kenneth Murray, who is the middle linebacker for Oklahoma, is a true freshman, and he was the one that was out of his gap on those 5 inside power plays that went for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns or whatever. Ridiculous. If in the past, Oklahoma's done well against these type of teams, but they didn't have a true freshman middle linebacker. But at the same time, though, I have a hard time thinking that just because he's a true freshman is why he was out of those gaps. I feel like Mike Stoops had a lot to do with that. Somebody's not coaching these kids right because, listen, as much respect as I have for Georgia, and I have a ton of them for the way they played that game, because I can never take away from a team that played like champions like they did in the Rose Bowl. They deserve a ton of credit. Georgia doesn't do anything tricky. They are not sophisticated on offense. They don't create matchup nightmare problems in terms of trying to make motions and shifts and do things that trick you. They don't trick you. They line up and they say, fuck it. We're going to throw.
And they run the ball down your fucking throat.
Yes. And you know what? If Oklahoma gave up 300 rushing yards, as a fan, I could understand that giving up 300 rushing yards because after a while you get worn down, right? But I can't accept on 25 carries them getting 300 yards because you just said, see you later, buddy. Like, how does that happen? And it's not like Oklahoma doesn't have athletes either. Oklahoma has several 4- and 5-star linebackers and defensive players. There's no excuse for that to happen in the game with the type of talent Oklahoma has. It's just absolutely inexcusable.
But you're playing an SEC. You're playing SEC. I tried to tell you last week that y'all weren't going to win the game. SEC offense, they run it down your throat.
But that's not been a problem for Oklahoma traditionally speaking against SEC opponents in recent years. That's never been that's not been a problem for them. Last year, Auburn had 180 rushing yards on like 55 carries. Tennessee a couple of years in a row.
But
that's the problem, though.
No
that's stats, man. I tried to tell you, stats does not win football games.
Well, no, you're right. Stats matter. What stats do is they tell a story, and they let you take a look at the things that have happened or that you think can happen because of matchups. I take a lot away from film than I do with stats. Stats do matter, but when toe meets leather, the stats and the things that happened previously no longer matter unless they are applied directly from film onto the field. I totally agree with that. Now, I was right on a lot of things about the game in terms of how Georgia's defense was going to really struggle against Oklahoma. I was right on the spot with everything that I said about that. I told you guys that they would be able to run the football. Rodney Anderson is a lot better than you gave him credit for, Shannon. You have to admit that.
Shannon's peeing right now, but
they're not running back you, though. You said they were running back you. They're not running back you.
They have been. They've produced several fantastic running backs to the NFL, and they've got a couple more that are going to go to the NFL here in the next couple of years that are probably going to be starters on their teams.
Shaun, Devine, you got a comment to that?
And Georgia's up there too because Georgia produces.
The last good Oklahoma running back was Adrian Peters.
Well, there was a guy named DeMarco Murray who ran for 1,800 yards a couple years ago. But
that's cute. Derrick Henry's going to take his job.
Well, he is up there in years now and been injured, but he is probably going to get to the 10,000-yard club before his career is over, which is a relevant number. That's pretty impressive.
Not a chance.
What do you mean not a chance? He's at like 8,500 yards.
Sorry, I can't help it.
Don't be silly, man. This is stuff I'm talking about. You guys get a little silly sometimes, but
I mean, Ricky Williams got to 10,000 yards. What does that mean? It doesn't mean a damn thing.
There's not a lot of 10,000-yard rushers in the NFL.
There are a ton, and Frank Gore just got to 14,000. What does that tell you? Not a hell of a lot.
Well, Frank Gore's going to the Hall of Fame, so.
Would you consider Frank Gore a top 10 back all time just because he's got a lot of yards? Hell no.
No, I wouldn't.
I would consider
there's
Evan
only
Smith a hell of a running back, and he's got 18,355 yards. He wouldn't be the first guy to put the ball in somebody's hands if I needed a rushing touchdown. Come on.
No, that doesn't mean that. But Emmitt Smith is fantastic, though. You can't try to argue.
No, he wasn't fantastic. He's not fantastic. He had a great offensive line. He had the Great Wall of Dallas.
The cleanest queen under the sun is Tide Clean, new Tide Clean.
Clean and bright as the sun on the sand. The kind of clean you like best next to those you love. That's because new Tide has extra cleaning power. With Tide, things always come out clean and fresh as a sea breeze. More than white, more than bright, really clean.
Clean.
The cleanest clean under the sun.
What a wonderful sight when your wash is done. The cleanest clean under the sun is Tide Clean, new Tide Clean.
That's really you're trying to take.
I could have gained 5.5 yards to carry behind that offensive line. Get the hell out of here.
You're taking away a little bit too much credit for some players that have really earned it on the football field. Come on now.
I'm not. If I had that offensive line, I'd gain 5.5 yards to carry. That's too easy. I mean, Larry Allen was one of the best goddamn guards the NFL's ever seen.
I didn't say that he didn't have great. Everyone when you have success, usually in football, it's not because you're just great by yourself. Most people have help around them.
What about Barry Sanders?
Barry Sanders was great, but he was also kind of one of those home run hitters / negative yard getters. He does also have some of them.
He had 15,000 yards with trash for an offensive line. Trash. Unless you consider Lomas Brown a great offensive lineman, which I don't.
Barry Sanders, in my opinion, is right up there in the top 3 or so all time. I don't think Emmitt Smith's on Barry Sanders' level, but that doesn't mean Emmitt Smith is average or not that good.
He's a very good running back, but he's not all time. He's an all-time.
He's an all-time top 10, 15 running back for sure. I don't think there's any question about that.
I don't know if he's top 10, maybe 15.
Well, I mean, like when you listen, stats don't mean everything, but sometimes when stats are as obvious as they are, you got to give credit where it's due.
Hey guys, let's talk about the Alabama-Clemson game for a minute. We don't have a Clemson rep, but we can bounce this off of a.
Yeah, there's not really. We don't need a Clemson rep for this one, really, do we? Because
Right,
I don't think Clemson had a rep at the game. So
Clemson, Clemson this year is the reason why I'm so depressed about the Oklahoma loss this year. The usual suspects are going to remain the usual suspect, but there's certain years where you're just going to be stronger than others. And Oklahoma may get back next year and just not be as good as this year's team, and that's what hurts me. But Clemson, I told.
Well, I think Timothy, and I gotta interject for a minute because I think that's largely because most of the Oklahoma fan base was pretty much, I don't know, just it was Baker and then a few other folks, Anderson and a couple of receivers. Yeah.
I will give. I got. Can I interject real quick?
Yes.
Real quick,
Shaun, Devine.
And give Oklahoma one bit of props, if I may. Outside of, I've already given a little props for that tailback of theirs, Rodney Anderson, I think.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But outside of him, whoever that big motherfucker tight end they got.
Oh man, that dude was massive.
Yeah, he is a fucking
tight
beast.
End of theirs was. That guy is a legit motherfucking tight end. He was dominating. I don't know why they didn't go to him more often. They had no answer for him. No,
they double teamed him in the second half.
Yeah.
They double teamed him in the second half.
Had to.
I didn't see him in the second half. Why are you not going to that guy?
Well, Flowers actually was a bigger matchup problem for them, the Oklahoma fullback. He was the biggest nightmare problem. And what I don't understand is in overtime, for example, once again, we'll go back to some questionable play calling. When the game was on the line, Flowers was a guy that they couldn't answer all day, especially when he lined up in formations with Andrews because he drew the double team. And they didn't use him in overtime or at the end of regulation. And he was the one that scored the last offensive touchdown. I just don't understand a lot of things that happened in that game.
This leads you to another point. Lincoln Riley.
He showed it finally.
The second generation of big game Bob.
I actually said that while the game was unfolding.
When the chips are down, Lincoln Riley didn't get it done.
To be fair to Lincoln, he called one of the most brilliant halves of football I think many of us haven't seen in a long time. The first half was as brilliant as you get.
Cover?
Yeah, but the second half, especially finishing that second half with the best score, is usually how games are won.
Right, and that's the thing that frustrated me because when you look at the film of the game, which I almost puked rewatching some of the game, Georgia didn't change a whole lot. They did the same stuff they always do. They didn't do anything different. They didn't change a lot. They blitzed a little bit more off of
bread and butter.
But they didn't do anything different. Oklahoma
that was the worst part about it because they didn't do anything different. They still won the game.
Yeah, that's that SEC defense. They keep pounding you and they will wear your ass down.
And that's the Big 12 defense that was pretty much you can.
They didn't seem worn down. They just.
And from my thoughts, I thought when Georgia scored that touchdown at the end of the game, I thought they were going to go for two. I thought they were going to go for two and go for the win right there.
I think they would have. I thought they were going to as well, but with 55 seconds is why I think they didn't do it because they were hoping that Lincoln Riley would be conservative again and not push it down the field. And Lincoln Riley did exactly that, went conservative. I just don't understand why, because, listen, they were pressing the receivers, and our receivers are very good at 50-50 balls.
Very
Baker
good.
was if we were aggressive, there's no reason why we shouldn't have won that game.
And that kind of it irritates me a little bit that more wasn't made about Oklahoma's receivers this year too, because again, not taking anything away from Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield is definitely a pro-style quarterback and is going to do very well in the NFL, I think.
I don't think he will. I think he's too small. He's going to get hit. And he's going to get broke.
Well, he's gotten hit a lot, and he seems pretty okay with he's a tough dude.
He definitely took some licks in that Georgia game.
The Big 12 is not the NFL. That's not.
Well, neither is the SEC.
Kansas is not, the Patriots, the Steelers.
Well, I mean, here we go again, man. Like, we're talking about, like, when I think about the SEC, the first team I don't think about is Vanderbilt.
Well, and I can't believe I'm fixing to defend Oklahoma in this, but, Georgia did have a top 10 passing defense going into that game, and Baker threw pretty much at will.
Name me the last good Oklahoma quarterback in the NFL. I'll wait. And don't
Bradford was very successful. It's not
garbage.
Who?
No, he's not successful.
Bradford has an NFL record, so that's successful.
He does have an NFL record.
Where's Bradford at now?
A.J. McCarron did too.
Was Y. Tittle was he an
I think
Oklahoma
I've seen him
quarterback?
on the sidelines at the UCF game with the water cooler, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that he's been hurt, but to claim he's not good would be tomfoolery, and that it's tomfoolery.
He was good in college football.
Man, did he come into the NFL his first year, and what did he do? What's he doing
He led
in the NFL?
a 2-win team to 8 wins immediately and won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's all he's done, though.
He has an NFL record
great
for completion percentage in a season, which is pretty cool. He's played well. The last 16 games, he's had over 100 passer rating, 4,000 yards. He's played really well. That's not a question. He's played well. He's good. He's no bust.
He's okay.
The problem that happened, he's a little better than okay. He's been hurt. That's unfortunate. It's something he can't help, but he's been hurt, and it's just one of those things that
you can't help that. I could disagree with that. Availability is the best kind of ability.
I didn't say that being available isn't important, but it's not his fault that he gets hurt. It's not like he's going out there like, it'd be sick, bro, if I tore my ACL. Like, come on.
He's prone to injury. There's not a team that's going to want to pick him up. I mean,
well, someone's going to pick him up because he's a quarterback.
Yeah, there's always positions in the CFL, I think. Yeah.
Regardless,
he'll do great.
Go to Spain, go to the football league over there.
Can he make it 2 years, though?
Football.
Yeah.
You got to make it 2 years in the CFL.
Okay. Wait, no, what's
what's
the one that's coming back? The football league.
XFL.
The XFL. The XFL would they pick him up in a heartbeat?
XFL, Vince McMahon's bringing it back.
Hell yeah.
Guys are being... But Bradford will be a starter next year in the NFL, but I feel bad for him because had he not gotten hurt this year, there was a real chance he could have won the Super Bowl with the Vikings because they have a really solid team around him, and that just sucks. They still might without him, So I feel bad for Sam because that's a tough break, Whenever
literally.
And the other thing is he's a tough guy. I mean. He could just simply have packed it up. He's made $100,000. He just really wants to win in the NFL, and I just feel bad for him that things continue not to work out for him.
Okay, guys, let's move on to the game, Alabama and Georgia. I guess.
Time out. Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
You can.
If I may.
Yes.
Just because I'm a smart ass. I gotta ask Timothy. I gotta ask.
Okay.
How soon is it? Are we going to talk after signing day or after spring ball when you start counting Oklahoma for the 2018 college football playoff? When will
they'll be a contender again. If they'll get there, I don't know. We'll have to see. We're going to have to see what Kyler Murray or Austin Kendall, whichever one takes over for Baker Mayfield, we'll see how the shoes are filled. They'll have the
Those are some mighty big shoes to fill, I might add.
We'll have to find out. Yeah, we'll have to find out. But
I'm
not
calling
just
after spring ball.
Well, they're going to be a contender for the college football playoff. If they'll get there or they'll win the national championship, I don't know yet. We'll have to see how that team plays. I mean, losing Baker, that's not just losing a player. It's also losing, kind of the heart and soul of that team. If you saw that game, which all of you guys did, after OU
Every single
he's the
second
one
of
that
it.
got the
I didn't see the
He's the
overtime.
one who got the defense
did.
fired
I had
up
it
if
over
you
on
recall,
Clemson.
before they got that turnover.
I wouldn't worry about
touchdown.
that.
I saw his post game. His tears were delicious.
They were. Those were probably the most since Tebow cried. I think those were probably me personally. That was probably the greatest tears that I've seen on television.
That really stinks, man. It's gonna hurt me. It's gonna hurt me as a fan for years. I mean, this is a hard one because I also really liked their matchup with Alabama. So this is really tough all around.
No, man, there's no way that you can ever feel bad about, especially with the finish that game had. I don't know how you could feel bad as a fan for your team to have lost in such a fashion. Double overtime in Rose Bowl, the first time ever.
Remember when you went out and you were
I feel
outside?
like the coaches let
He explained it all then.
Oh, okay.
They should have won.
All right, we'll rewind it and listen to it later. Yeah. What the hell are you doing, Shaun? Where are you at? What are you at? Are you at an auction or something?
I think they just called your number.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenShannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
All right, so on to the Georgia-Alabama game.
Yeah, because Clemson and Alabama is really not worth talking about.
Yeah, that's dumb.
No, it's not. But
Apparently it
the
wasn't.
Bama fans in the room.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I can tell you right now, I know that Devine is going to be pulling for Georgia.
Yes.
Well, certainly, but the Bama fans in the room. How happy is Nick Saban? I mean, he turned the hat backwards. That was cute. For finally winning the damn Sugar Bowl. I mean, he's finally got that docket knocked out. Because he was, 0-3 as the Bama coach in the Sugar Bowl? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, he was.
All he needs now is what, a
One of those losses to Oklahoma, I might add.
All he needs now is a sixth national championship,
which is still, I believe, the biggest win in Oklahoma modern history. Was that Sugar Bowl win against Alabama that year?
Yeah, it's probably our best win recently. Unfortunately, because we can't.
Fiesta Bowl. Fiesta Bowl. He needs the Fiesta Bowl win.
Yeah.
As a Bama coach.
No, because that means unless it's in a CFP year, it means he didn't make the CFP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how's this game going to go? Let's go down the line here. Let's start with Shaun Devine.
Obviously I'm rooting for Georgia. I got a lot of Georgia friends.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Had a lot of fun in Athens, but
we didn't have that much fun in Athens.
Man, I did. Athens has got a bunch of hot women.
Athens is the best, and there are some gorgeous women in Athens.
Man, we actually played a show there. Doug and myself used to be in a band. We played in Athens many years ago, and there were like some kind of sorority rush thing going on. Man, it was like wall to wall, just everywhere you look, achingly gorgeous Southern belles everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry I got hard for a minute.
But no, it's
understandable.
Georgia really shooting their wad in double overtime against Oklahoma on the West Coast, having to fly back, short week. I think the Tide's going to win this. We'll say 27-23.
Yeah, and that's kind of my feeling about that too. That was a really, really tough game for Georgia to have won. A lot of heart, a lot of emotion going into the game, coming out of the game. And
it's
again,
a lot of energy to come back 17.
Absolutely,
and the game itself and everything that involved it.
And it's not like they
fact.
and it's not like they just came back 17 and that was it. They had to come back from 17, and then they had to have a last-second scoring drive and then go to a second overtime. That was just a brutal game for any team.
And Bama had an emotional. And Bama had they coasted.
Very emotionless win. In fact, I didn't even watch most of the fourth quarter. That game was so in the bag at that point. It was like, I started drifting off and falling asleep.
It reminded me of older Saban teams back around
when are we going to see Tua?
2012.
When are we going to see Tua? Because Jalen Hurts kept Clemson in the game for 3.5 quarters.
You're right. You're right. Bama's offense
We've been saying that all year.
See, what's frustrating, and that's why, and it's another frustrating thing for me as an Oklahoma fan is, I don't know if Alabama or Clemson, whichever one won, would have had enough points to beat Oklahoma. Damn it, it's so frustrating.
Well,
I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Jalen Hurts, but if we would have seen Tua, I think we would actually went undefeated this year.
Well, Alabama's offensive game plan doesn't
and I
revolve.
love Jalen Hurts. I hope Jalen Hurts has all the intangibles. He's really smart. He's well put together. He's got a good head on his shoulders. It's just he's not a good college quarterback. He's a hell of an athlete. He's just not a good passer.
But at the same time, so what I was saying a moment ago, that Alabama's
Get over here, dog.
offensive
Bring back-
game plan
What the fuck are you doing?
Alabama's game plan, it does not revolve around a passing quarterback. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Under Saban,
Yeah,
it really hasn't.
Calvin Ridley, you better start figuring out how.
Yeah, this is very true. We've got another Amari Cooper out there floating around in the backfield waiting to
Yeah,
to
Jerry
catch the
Jeudy
ball.
too, and that guy's a stud. I mean,
he is.
I feel really good about our receiving group going forward from now. I mean, years to come.
Well,
I mean, we're.
Can I break it down a little bit? I find this to be interesting because Alabama and Georgia both have some strengths that the other ones is a weakness, in my opinion. I think Georgia's wide receiver core is fairly weak, and Bama's is super strong. I think Georgia's quarterback is extremely strong, and I'm not really so fond of Bama's quarterback play. And then on the flip side, I think Bama's secondary is really good. I don't think Georgia's secondary is that great. And then front seven is pretty equal, except for Roquan Smith will be the best defensive player on the field for both teams.
You really think that? You're taking away from Minka Fitzpatrick, really? Come on
I don't think
now.
I'm taking away from them. I mean, both of them were up for Player of the Year awards. They're both fantastic, okay?
I mean, you seen that defense the other night. You seen the defense.
great.
That
They were
defense
great.
that everybody was saying was trash and all this.
Well, that was dumb people that said it. People have to find a way to hate.
Devine didn't say that defense was trash. Not a chance.
Listen.
Devine's
people
got
have to
Alabama
hate.
shirt on.
People will hate the teams
Yeah, but he's
that
pulling
win.
for Georgia.
Oh, it don't matter.
There's three specific universities that
I'm pointing at you right now, Devine.
Yeah, and I see
really
that Alabama
four,
shirt he's got on. So,
Yeah, but just
whatever.
because I'm pulling against your team doesn't mean I don't.
I'm still pointing at you though.
Yeah,
He still
at
said
least-
Bama was going to win by 4.
And you still got good taste in clothing, so we'll give you that.
I don't know who's going to win, but I'm going to say this. I think Alabama has the overall better roster, but I do think that Georgia has from. But here's the tough thing for me. Not only do we talk about the odds stacked against them, because they have to play back-to-back matchups that are probably not favorable for them, especially after a crazy
Yeah, but
win.
now let's back up for a second, because you really think that Fromm is going to be the difference maker for Georgia in this game?
I said if they're going to win, if they are going to win, he's going to have to be the difference
Yeah,
maker.
I agree. I
don't
totally
think
agree.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
Yeah, he's
I
going
don't
to have
think-
to be.
I don't think he will, but here,
Oh my God,
I would like
have to agree with
Georgia.
him. Damn,
I would like
he's right.
Georgia to win.
Mhm.
I respect
Damn right he
Bama.
would.
I would like Georgia to win. I would like them to win by 10 or more chance my Sooners.
Well, don't be a pussy. Give us a score prediction.
Yeah.
I honestly think this might be a little like 24-14 Bama.
Okay, and Cagle, you're picking Georgia, aren't you?
Cagle's,
hell
hey, yeah,
no.
yeah.
Actually, it's going to be one hell of a game, I'm telling you. I mean, both defenses, everything's pretty much even. I mean, I see Bama being able to wear them down in the fourth quarter, though.
Like they do every other team.
I'm
Except
going
Auburn.
with,
Except
I'm
Auburn,
probably going to say 31-24,
Auburn
Bama.
at home.
Okay, so you're looking at you and Devine are both picking it, but everybody's picking Bama here. All right.
What's funny is ESPN, everyone picked Clemson, and I was like, isn't this supposed to be the network that jacks Bama off? What the fuck is happening?
They're trying.
Yeah, well, Bama pays off. He pays off.
Yeah, but you can't have it
ESPN.
looking so obvious.
He's best
And then
friends with Paul Feinbaum.
And then everyone picked Georgia, right? Everyone picked Georgia over Oklahoma, and then Lee Corso picks OU, and I was like, God fucking damn it.
Oh, I knew it. As soon as Lee Corso picked OU, all my suspicions were confirmed.
All right.
He just didn't want it. He was hoping that if he picked them, that Baker Mayfield wouldn't carry the Pretenders side into the stadium.
All right.
Did Feinbaum make a prediction yet for this game? Because whatever Feinbaum does, it's going to be the opposite.
Okay, Dane, do you have a prediction?
Dane's not here.
Oh, sorry. Curtis, Curtis.
Curtis ain't here.
Curtis is definitely pulling for Alabama on this one too.
Yeah.
So,
Curtis said roll tide.
I'm going to go ahead and put Curtis down for 31 to
0.
31 to nothing. Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah.
I'd probably be pulling for the Tide if y'all would invite me down there to a party now.
I would not be shocked.
Shannon, make that happen.
Okay.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm
if
working on it
Alabama
right now. I'm getting you some plane tickets as we speak.
He's on Travelocity right now.
Yeah, I'm on Travelocity.
My
Can I
buddy.
use your credit?
He's already set. He's wearing the Bama jersey, and he's in the Crimson Room right now.
Hey, Doug, can you go get me the smacking off credit card, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on.
So, an interesting.
No, not that one. The American
thing.
Express.
My friend Chris and I, we talk a lot about football and kind of how we pick, and we usually say, what's the most likely and least likely event to happen? So when we look at a game, the most likely event to happen is, I think, Bama wins comfortably. The second most likely thing is Bama wins close. The third most likely thing is Georgia wins close, but I don't see any possibility Georgia wins big.
Yeah, there would have to be a complete major collapse. I think
See,
Saban would have to have a stroke like mid-first quarter, and then I think Dabo would probably have to get hit by a car sometime around.
And
that
then every
same
one
time.
of our players fall down and go out of the game. Yeah.
Who has the better running back stable?
And then we find
That's really close.
It is really close, but I think we edge them out. We've got more depth at running back.
Well, you guys both go about 4 or 5 deep. Bo Scarborough isn't the same.
No, he's not.
He's really not. And since he's come back, he's not.
Damian Harris is the guy.
Yeah,
Damian Harris.
I'm well aware that.
He's the man.
He's the bell cow. You guys have kind of you guys have moved on from Bo Scarborough as your main guy.
But here's
which
what
is disappointing because I really liked Bo. I thought last year if Bo doesn't get hurt, you guys are playing for 3 now.
No, he's like Bob Marley with pads on.
I think Bo will have a big game come Monday, though.
Possibly.
You think so?
I think he will.
Because there's definitely going to be a lot of
reserve playing him in the Sugar Bowl because of what happened last year, I believe.
There will be a lot
So
of,
would you
of
say,
preparation
would you say the
for
passing
Damian
attack
Harris.
in this case? Would you say this is kind of my thought process? The passing attack is going to be important for both teams, but I would say it's kind of even because, Alabama has the better receivers, even though Georgia has the better quarterback. So it's kind of equal. Would you not agree with that?
I don't.
Yeah,
know
I would
if-
agree with that.
I don't know if Georgia's got the better quarterback at this point. Even though, again, Jalen for some reason or another just I don't know.
Yeah,
in college football, the hardest thing to do is take momentum away from another team and win a game when momentum's against you. And even though the Oklahoma defense isn't good, they played so well in the fourth quarter. They got those 3 consecutive stops. And when he sidestepped DJ Ward and threw that pass to Shell, I said, "Oh my God, we're in trouble," because that's not something we'd seen from him all year. Him just in the moment, he just played. He played like he was the Heisman Trophy winner in that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he really does. And I came into the game, I didn't think he was that great, but
we saw
that's
it in week
impressive.
2. We saw it in week 2.
What was that? Oh yeah, against Notre Dame.
The moment's not too big for the kid. I mean, that's impressive.
When he hit Godwin in the back corner of the end zone to win that game for Georgia, that was a big Heisman moment right there. Not that he won the Heisman, but.
Back to present ancient Chinese pantomime, just for fun of it, Jello tonight. Back to present small Chinese type baby waiting for dessert. Chinese mother bling baby Jello, famous Western delicacy. Poor Chinese baby. He unable to tell if this Jello is strawberry, raspberry, jelly, orange, lemon, lime, apple, black raspberry, black jelly, or grape. Jello come in all 10 flavors. Poor Chinese baby. But Chinese mother bling baby, great Western invention. Spoon. Spoon was invented for eating Jello. Baby find this is grape Jello. Deep, dark, delicious new flavor. Chinese baby very happy. So end ancient Chinese pantomime. Is pretty good commercial, no?
The other thing,
But he's young, guys. He's a baby, man. He's got room to grow.
Baker Mayfield, after the game was over, he was late to his press meeting because he went to find Jake Fromm and congratulate him. And I don't think that Baker would do that unless he really had a lot of respect for him. So
I heard he was late because he was trying to find a jar to cry in.
It's either that or that might have been one of his probation.
maybe it was a mix of both, probably. 'Cause,
considerations.
you know, and I don't blame a guy. You know, when they put that much emotionally invested into a game, you know, it is what it is. You know, it sucks because, you know, there's going to be a lot of memes probably that come from this for Sooner fans for years to come. But, you know, I personally, you know, I'm going to say this. I really appreciate all the years that OU had with Baker. It's unfortunate, you know, that our coaches kind of cost him a national championship opportunity because he was really a player that deserved a chance. But, you know, I appreciate all the time that OU had with Baker, and hopefully we don't waste another really good quarterback like we have the last 3.
Can we when we actually air this broadcast at this very moment, and just make a production note that there does need to
You're
be
making it now.
It needs to be like a small montage of Baker with some real soft music in the background, like maybe some. we got to do something kind of like Celine Dion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But not Celine Dion because the
Did you guys see the latest headlines?
No.
Blake Griffin bought Baker Mayfield courtside seats to a Clippers game because obviously he's no longer under NCAA rules because he's now. And he was drinking a beer.
I'm sorry. I feel bad for Baker Mayfield. Damn, that sucks.
And he was drinking a beer. People have a picture of him drinking a beer. They're like, he's already gotten over the loss to Georgia. And I'm like, are these people serious right now? Are they really gonna be like Baker Mayfield drinking a beer? Yeah, he's 22. He's out of game, bro. Relax.
Yeah, trust me, because later that night he was doing a blow off a stripper's ass. I'm sure.
My question is
If I was Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry, that's probably what I would be doing at this particular moment. I don't have the NCAA up my ass anymore. It's time to party before we have to get drug tested for the combine. So,
all right. So
the thing that there's really I'm excited for is, you know, if you follow the NFL, which I'm not sure if you gentlemen do, but I'm excited to see his 40 time because he could not run those fat Arkansas cops. So, I mean, it's going to be a bad 40.
Yeah.
His 40 time will probably be under 5, but not much under 5. I would imagine it's not going to be the fastest.
I don't know. I think he's probably done a little bit more training running for
Really
police.
athletic. I mean, did you see what he did to Roquan Smith? Roquan Smith had 2 missed tackles on the whole season, and Baker stiff-armed him to the ground once, and the other time made him fall down and then threw a touchdown pass. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that happened.
Roquan also knocked that running back ears into the next century with that hit on that sweep to the left in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah, that was a great hit. And then the next play, I'm pretty sure he gained like 9 yards.
What do you guys think about Deron Payne?
Man, that fat boy made it happen the other night. Got to give him a big old hand on that one.
He's moving up draft boards like whoop.
Yeah.
And you know the play he scored on looked very similar to the play that Clemson won
last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a pick play, but it wasn't.
The pick play Clemson ran, I didn't realize it was that egregious.
Yeah. But do you agree that it was?
I rewatched. They showed it again. I'm like, geez, the wide receiver that set the pick dove into the guy's knees. Jesus,
right.
Yeah.
How was that not called?
Yep.
It could have been.
Hey, I'm not, and I'm an Alabama fan, but I'm not gonna lie. It definitely, it probably should have got called back, but it happens, man.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That was super egregious. Like, listen, if it wasn't egregious, I would be like, shut the fuck up. It was a great game, but you can't
need to be talking about.
Well, I mean, you know, and look, and there was a little bit of that in both of the playoff games. You know, I want to even say that the announcers early in the Oklahoma-Georgia game had made mention of, you know, how there was so much holding going on Roquan Smith that wasn't being called. You know,
yeah, there was holding on both sides of that game. That
both
they just let
sides,
go.
yes, absolutely.
They just let them play.
Yeah, they let them play, and a lot of it wasn't egregious. There were some that were. Bobby Evans caught Roquan Smith in a pretty egregious one, and then that inside power. They've done this all year. They've gotten away with it all year. They double team the defensive tackle on the inside power, and then one of them hog ties the guy, and then the other pushes them back. I don't know how they've not gotten called at once this year on it, but they do that all year. I don't know if you guys have watched on film. They literally just go inside power, and they just take the defensive tackle to the shower with them in the jail cell. Like it's crazy. I'm like, wow.
Please, no Penn State references, please.
All right, guys. So, Monday. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Well, how excited are you guys? Are you guys to the Alabama guys? Are you more excited that it's Georgia, or would you have been more excited if it was an Oklahoma match?
To be truthful, I was personally, and I'd even said this long before the season started, I would have loved to have seen an Alabama-Oklahoma matchup, primarily because I wanted it to be Alabama to make Baker cry. But you know, at the same time, I still got to give it to my neighbors over in Georgia. They still got it done. So
all SEC final.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that again. I'm not a homer, you know, an SEC homer by any means, but it is cool to see both of the teams.
It was because they didn't play each other, though. It's the SEC. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The two didn't play each other. The SEC is not the best college football. No, it's not. Don't be silly. The teams
not the best conference that has both of their teams.
Fuck you, mama.
Yeah, but both of the teams in the playoffs are from
not
the SEC.
The best conference because top to bottom, it's not the best. They might.
I think the MAC is the best, but
I don't think any conference top to bottom is the best.
About top to bottom.
Yeah, well, and again, we can't bring Big 12 into that conversation either.
But the question you asked, Timothy,
Kansas.
I was pulling for Georgia because I thought that Bama matched up better with Georgia than they did Oklahoma. The teams that beat Alabama are usually teams with hot quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's what I think is tough. I'm pretty sure the last time that Alabama lost to a pro-style team was 2011, and they avenged that loss.
Right. Yeah, LSU.
Yeah, they just don't lose to these kind of opponents because it's just what they do so well. You know, the Oklahoma had a good matchup against Alabama, but that's what I'm saying. Georgia had back-to-back bad matchups. I don't know that they can win two in a row. And if they do, Kirby deserves a hell of a lot of credit. Hell, Kirby might steal some of Saban's credit.
Yeah, he's already stole some of his recruits for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And some of the recruiting thunder, I might add. You know.
All right, so.
Well, I'm sorry, Shaun. What did you say, Shaun Devine?
Well, I got a couple things. Number one, I mean, Kirby kind of already is. They got the number one class coming in this year.
Yes, they do.
Number two, we didn't talk enough about, and I know it was kind of, the stats won't reflect it. Sorry, Timothy. But how the hell, how damn fucking good is Minkah Fitzpatrick? Can we not toot his horn enough? I mean, he took away Clemson's number one threat the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
The whole game. The guy was,
he was even double teamed and took it out.
I'm a Bama, but I ain't tooting no
might as well
horns.
put that guy in the.
You
might
keep
as well
the
put
horns
that
out
guy
of
in
your
the
mouth.
witness protection program because Minkah Fitzpatrick is by far the best defensive back in college football.
Yes, he is.
Bar none.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
I like Minkah. I mean, I like the thing I like most about Minkah is his flexibility because he can play safety or corner. He can also kind of play a little bit of linebacker almost because they play him sometimes as the down safety to help him run support. He can do everything.
You can put him pretty much anywhere,
and then
and
he's
he
also
can make something happen.
You can put him in any position.
He seems like a humble kid too, which I like as well. Which that might
He's got
surprise you.
He's got a big time future in the NFL though.
He really does.
He's going to make a lot of money.
Like a lot of other defensive players from Tuscaloosa. That's
And I bring that up because the exciting matchup is going to be him against Terry Godwin. That's going to be a great matchup to watch in this game coming up on Monday night.
Is that not
really
one-sided? I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but listen, I know that those receivers for Georgia have made some great plays that are cool, but like as a whole, those guys aren't the best receivers, around. I'm not sure if Alabama faced better receivers. I'm trying to think if they. Well, yeah, Clemson. Clemson has probably the best core in the country, but they don't have a quarterback to throw to them either. That's what's unfortunate. Because I mean, like as much as we're talking about Jalen Hurts not being great, Kelly Bryant's like at least half as. He's not even half as good as Jalen Hurts. But
we saw a definitive drop off between Deshaun Watson and Kelly Bryant. We saw.
Yeah, that's a
and I told people, I said that's what was tough for me. I said, where are they going to get those 946 yards from?
Well, it wasn't from Hunter Renfrow, I'll tell you that.
No.
They were determined.
He was locked down.
They were determined not to let him beat them. That was a personal message.
From last year, yeah.
Are you guys concerned about losing that linebacker now in that Clemson game.
Not really. I mean, we didn't have him most of the year anyway. I mean,
It's
we've
even
got some other.
anyways. Georgia doesn't have Naquiz Patrick.
Yeah, no, we'd actually discussed this, and when you go back and listen to the show, there'll be another thread or another segment we talked about. I'm sorry, I'm getting my online terminology mixed up. We did discuss that, and you know, to be quite frank, you know, Alabama's core of linebackers has been pretty much rotated because of the injuries all year long. So you have a lot of depth that's had some pretty good experience throughout the season. It's not like they're going to be going into the national championship game completely fresh.
And they've lost this guy, but they just got 2 guys back right at the same time.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
have another one back by Monday also.
We already knew Alabama has some depth issues this year that they haven't dealt with in the last few seasons. So I mean, you know, you're when you play in the championship game, you're gonna have to deal with some issues. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure there will, but there will have to be some adjustments made. I mean, we've seen that throughout the season where we've had
I'm curious to see what Alabama
play.
takes from the Oklahoma film to the Georgia game. I'm really interested to see that because Alabama runs more of a spread offense now than they did a few years ago. They might be able to take some of the elements of the counter and power that they ran with Rodney Anderson because Georgia had no answer for that for the. And I'm curious to see if they'll run that. I mean, are you guys not curious about that at all? Will they? I mean, do you think Alabama in a week will be able to take some of the stuff they saw from that game and use it against Georgia?
Oh, I'm sure they've already watched that
I'm pretty
game
sure
about
that Nick
900
Saban's
times.
already watching film on every game Georgia's played this year.
Yes.
You just don't underestimate Saban. I mean, he's going to watch everything.
And
for sure,
and,
but I'm just saying it is only
Alabama.
And studying individual matchups and studying each and every single little bitty tick and little bitty movement and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, there's definitely going to be a lot of that.
Jesus Christ, that hurt. I'm still going to have it.
I'm the greatest right now.
No, whoa. Okay, all right, fellas, time out. Come on, give me a second here. Fellas, pause. Just give me a second, man. Pause. Pause. Give me a second. Let me pause. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about here at SmackDown.
USC claims more national
Are we still
championships.
fucking
Oklahoma's
talking
a
about
better
this? I
overall
told y'all we're going to do another segment about this. Oh, my God.
Okay, sure. We could do that.
What do you guys think about Scott Cochran destroying the second place trophy from last year?
I think that was just bad.
I think that was really because he actually could have hawked that at a pawn shop in Tuscaloosa and got like $500 for it.
Yeah, it wasn't smart.
Yeah,
Wait, hang on a second.
That motherfucker back together
What
after
happened?
the damn tape stopped rolling.
I didn't catch this. What happened exactly?
Scott Cochran, the strength and conditioning coach.
He's the voice of my GPS system.
That would be awesome. No, Scott Cochran, the strength and conditioning coach, which this is actually something that we talked about in another segment as well. But there's a video floating around of him taking the SEC second place trophy, and basically
second place trophy from last year,
the
national championship,
and smashing it into a million pieces in the.
Wait, hang on a second. They make second place trophies?
I had no idea. I guess it's like it's kind
He
of
might have just went on the Trophies R Us and picked one up.
Yeah,
for the show.
Yeah, just so Alabama wouldn't
I
feel
hope
bad
that's
about
what
losing.
happened. Oklahoma State, did you hear what they did? They got championship rings the first year that they tied for the division lead in the Big 12 South. Division champions.
Yeah, Auburn was claiming those things back when Tuberville was there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Every time
Timothy, that's not the reason why you hope. You just hope that you get a fourth place trophy for Oklahoma.
What?
Yeah, that is,
a fourth place trophy. Oklahoma wasn't the fourth best team. No, Oklahoma doesn't deserve a trophy for the way that they handled themselves at the end of that game. So
I disagree totally.
I'm going to definitely say Clemson's fourth place.
Yeah, Clemson definitely gets fourth place in the playoffs this year.
Oklahoma's defense can get eighth place because they were probably even worse than the.
Well, no, I still think that UCF has got a shot at getting the second place trophy this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and if they don't, they're going to make one anyway, right?
I think they already have.
Yeah,
I think they've already passed them out.
You are talking about the live championship, right? Okay.
Yes. The live championship.
Do you think UCF will end up second in the AP or coaches poll?
No.
No, come on, man. Seriously.
No.
They've done it in the past. They've done it in the past though with TCU, once with Boise State, if I'm not mistaken. They've done it in the past. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah, but you go back and look at that atrocious UCF schedule. I mean, they literally played nobody.
TCU and
with
Boise
the exception
State
of
were
Auburn
credible,
and
the Mountain
Memphis,
West
they
at the
played
time was
nobody.
good. So I mean, it's different, but because I mean, TCU won a Mountain West with like Colin Kaepernick at Nevada and Kellen Moore. So it is different. But.
Hey, Timothy, you see this shit that just come through? They just gave Stoops a damn 10-year extension.
Really?
They did not.
Who did? Kentucky?
I know that he's not getting fired because Coach Riley already said that he supports him, and he blamed the issue on the defensive issues this year on depth. Which, okay, that's fine. You want to blame it on depth. Well, then that problem better be fixed next year because we're not going to have that issue next year with the depth because of the guys we're getting back from injury and stuff. So if I hear about depth again next year, I'm going to be pissed as fuck.
Shaun, Devine, you were saying something. What was it?
Hey, no, I'm just saying I've appreciated the discussion tonight. Doug, Shannon, Tim, and Shaun, I got to break out. I'm out of here. Well, I'll talk to you all next week.
All right, man.
Excellent, man. Appreciate you.
All right. See you later.
I better
man.
do the same.
Yep. All right, guys.
Be safe and have a blessed evening.
All right, roll Tide, go Dogs.
Roll Tide.
Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the small smacking off icon at the top of the screen now. Click the link at the bottom of the screen to watch last week's episode.